I want to jump right into it and bring in my first guest, former Trump campaign manager and author of the book Trump's Enemies by Phone, Corey Lewandowski. Corey, great to talk to you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Corey. All right, got a lot to talk about right now. Real quick, I'm sure you were listening, as I was, to the president's comments just now in this cabinet meeting. He then handed it off to Acting Secretary Shanahan from Defense. Both men very focused on border security. Does not seem like the president is going to budge on this. He's going to reject, I believe, this $1.3 billion Democrats are offering, then the shutdown, with no wall factored into that budget.
Well, look, this president ran on a pledge to protect Americans from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And the only way to do that is to have a border which is secure so we know who is coming into the country. This is the same Democratic Party that when Barack Obama was in office voted for border funding, voted for a wall, and now they don't want to give the president the win that he deserves. And look, your viewers have to look no further than less than a week ago, a police officer was killed in the line of duty by a person who was in this country illegally, had been arrested on multiple occasions, but because of the laws in California, because of SB 54, they could not share that immigration with ICE. And then after that person killed the police officer in the line of duty, who, by the way, was a legal immigrant, that person, the alleged assailant, was trying to find his way out of the country back to Mexico. A wall stops that from happening. Does it prevent them from coming in the first place? This is what this president has fought for, and this is what he continues to fight for. And anything less than funding for the wall is unacceptable to the president.
And that police officer, of course, was Corporal Ronil Singh from the Newman, California Police Department. Interesting, Corey. Many Democrats, most of the elected Democrats from California, Pelosi, Feinstein, Jerry Brown, Gavin Newsom, the governor-elect, Kamala Harris, former attorney general, now a senator, they never said Corporal Singh's name. But it's not just Democrats in Congress who are still jabbing the president. Newly elected senator from Utah and failed presidential candidate Mitt Romney wrote that scathing op-ed about the president in the Washington Post. He titled it, "The President Shapes the Public Character of the Nation. Trump's Character Falls Short." Romney also said President Trump, quote, has not risen to the mantle of the presidency. Corey, this op-ed disgusted me. Quite frankly, it disgusted me. I see this as Jeff Flake 2.0. What's your take on all this?
Look, Mitt Romney is someone who is an opportunistic person, right? This was a man who pledged and begged for Donald Trump's support when he was running in Utah, asked for it, got it, and said he would come to Washington, D.C. to help advance the president's agenda. So, look, my message from Mitt Romney is very simple. You will be invited to the Oval Office someday, but you will never be the occupant of the Oval Office. It's very clear. And Mitt Romney fancies himself every day when he wakes up of looking into that mirror saying, I should be the president of the United States, except he had his chance. And he is, you know, it's amazing because with all the vitriol that takes place in Washington, with all the divisions that we have, you would think that a newly elected U.S. Senator would come to Washington, D.C. with an open mind and a pledge to support others to move the American agenda forward. But Mitt has started his relationships in Washington by attacking the president, not for his policies, but for the way he delivers the message. And so my question to Mitt Romney is it that you want open borders? Is it that you don't want our military to have the resources necessary? Is it that you don't want our economy to grow? What is it? You don't want a conservative Supreme Court? You don't want conservative justices on the bench? What is it from a policy perspective that you disagree with this president on? And the answer is nothing. And so Mitt Romney should do what many have done before him as a newly elected U.S. Senator. Come and learn the ways of Washington. Put your time in before you start chastising others, before you really know what's going on.
You know, Corey, some people agree with you. The president, Brad Parscale, and RNC chairwoman, Romney's niece, Ronna Romney McDaniel. Let's look at what the president tweeted. He tweeted, quote, "Here we go with Mitt Romney, but so fast. Question will be, is he a flake? I hope not. Would much prefer that Mitt focus on border security and so many other things where he can be helpful. I won big, and he didn't. He should be happy for all Republicans, be a team player and win." 2020 campaign manager Brad Parscale tweeted something similar. Quote, "The truth is Mitt Romney lacked the ability to save this nation. Donald Trump has saved it. Jealousy is a drink best served warm, and Romney just proved it. So sad. I wish everyone had the courage Donald Trump had, but most surprisingly, RNC chairwoman Ronna Romney McDaniel, tweeted, quote, and she quoted Donald Trump's tweet, the first one I read, quote, POTUS is attacked and obstructed by the MSM and Democrats 24/7 for an incoming Republican freshman senator to attack Donald Trump as their first act feeds into what the Democrats and media want and is disappointing and unproductive. Corey, that's her uncle. She arguably has that job because of him. What do you make of all this? Is Ronna McDaniel, is she a convert over to Trump's style of governing and populism, or is this just a smart political move on her part?
Well, look, Ronna Romney McDaniel understands that this president is fulfilling the campaign promises that he outlined in 2016, and that includes securing the border, bringing our economy back, renegotiating bad trade policies, giving the tools to the military that are necessary. And this is what the Republican Party is supposed to be about, and Ronna Romney McDaniel is on the Trump-Pence agenda. So sometimes, and look, it happens in my family, it might happen in your family. We have relatives, we call them the crazy uncle. Maybe Mitt is one of those crazy uncles that she has that you just try to, you have him at Thanksgiving and say, oh, here he goes again, right? Oh, boy. Like, I think usually it's most of my sister-in-laws and things like that. Not exactly the crazy uncle, but politics divides families. And what Ronna Romney McDaniel has known and continues to see every day is that what Donald Trump laid out on the campaign is what he's fulfilling in Washington. And if you are a Republican, if you are someone who believes in smaller government, then you should be praising the Trump-Pence administration for all the deregulation that they have been able to do in the first 2 years. More cuts in regulation than in any president over an 8-year period ever. If you're Ronna Romney, you want to look at the success of the Trump-Pence administration, whether it's Supreme Court justices, lower justices, or whatever it is that's supposed to be important to the Republican Party, and you see that they're delivering. And it's shameful that Mitt Romney, who ran as a Republican, who was supposed to espouse those same philosophies of smaller government, less government regulation, lower taxes, his first salvo is to attack the president who's delivering on exactly what he said he would do.
Yeah. Corey, you took the words out of my mouth. Like I said, I was disgusted by Romney's op-ed, was very happy with Ronna McDaniel did. All right, before we let you go, I want to talk about the turnover at the White House. Defense Secretary James Mattis is out, as well as Chief of Staff John Kelly. I'm sure you saw Corey Kelly made some comments to the LA Times last week, reflecting on those 17 months he spent in the White House. What do you make of that exit interview and overall Kelly's tenure as Chief of Staff? There were many reports that the two of you didn't get along very well.
Well, look, I've said very clearly that the president deserved a chief of staff who understood politics and the press, and John Kelly didn't understand either of those things. And so he said so in his exit interview to the LA Times, where he said every decision should not be looked at with a political eye. And I fundamentally disagree with that. And, look, I heard the mainstream media time and time again say that John Kelly was going to be the adult in the room, and his claim to fame is going to be that he was going to stop the president from doing things. Well, that didn't happen, clearly, because he was the chief of the staff, not the chief of the president. And I think it's very important for this president to surround himself with individuals who can have candid conversations with him, but also understand that he is the president of the United States and not them. And that's not to say that you can't disagree with the president, because he's always welcomed that open and honest dialogue. But when a decision is rendered by the commander-in-chief, it is your job as a staffer to go and execute on what he's asked you to do. And I think sometimes chiefs of staff and others feel that they are the ones who should be in charge. And I think what we've clearly seen is the president is the boss, and the final decision rests with him.
Always, everybody works for the guy who gets elected, Corey. I've always heard that in politics. Corey Lewandowski, former Trump campaign manager and co-author of Trump's Enemies. Corey, always great to talk to you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more breaking news coverage, exclusive interviews, and great videos, click over here to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And don't forget to download the free Newsmax TV app. Newsmax TV, it's real news for real people.